As you guys can see, we got some logs set up for mushrooms, and I've set them up all over the place. I got different types of logs to see which one works the best, and basically this is just my testing phase. That's about it. This is another tree that fell. Granted, it's been raining, so it looks darker than it did before, but this is basically what I'm doing. Actually, somebody chopped it down, but I'm going to use it to the best of my capabilities. This is the big branch here that it was hanging down there before, so I just pushed it a couple of times till it finally dropped off. And yeah, since that came down, I'm using that as another test. I've got probably 5 different types of mushrooms out here right now. As you can see, I'm getting this one inoculated. Yeah. It's like money. Over here, I put some more mushrooms. And some more mushrooms on that big fallen tree there. And some more down there. Basically everywhere you see a white spot, that's basically beeswax to cover up the ends of the plugs here. And what I ended up doing is basically going around the entire property and just drilling plugs into every fallen tree or whatever I could find in order to get this place started. Because once you've got mushrooms going, then they'll produce the spores, and this area seems to be missing the spores that I want to be here. So I'm making it a possibility. As these fruit, I'll end up eating them or whatever, but even if I miss them, it'll still kick off the spores, and I'll be able to get more mushrooms later on to whatever trees the spores fly to. You know, this is my later area that I'm going to be planting apple trees, or maybe an orange tree if I can get the thing to survive. And you know, basically all the fruit trees here, because you notice there isn't very much as far as trees go here anyway, so I'll be instantly able to start dropping them in here. And that before they get taken over by other trees, hopefully. I just figured I'd show you guys this, just because I find it somewhat interesting. We've got 3 trees here that are growing right out of the same spot. It looks like it's probably a poplar tree, or poplar trees. That's a hell of a density. I just found it odd that 3 of them are growing right out of the same base right there, and they're all pretty straight, because they had to fight each other on the way up. Nice, right? Just wanted to show you guys my big pile of leaves over here. I'm going to be using this today in a couple of my gardens so that I can get them ready. Well, they're going to be prepped for 2 years from now, but right now I'm mostly just going to be throwing the leaves in there and throwing some straw on top. And these gardens that I have set up over here are going to be used this year, but the soil isn't necessarily going to be used from it until next year or the year after. and that may be a little confusing. What I'm doing here is these beds, well, I ended up having to move some of the logs to do the mushrooms, but these beds here are being set up for future beds. So I'm going to be throwing the leaves down in the areas in between the logs, and then on top of that I'm going to throw some somewhat aged straw. Basically straw or hay that's been sitting out for too long is going to be thrown on top of the leaves. I'm also going to be throwing azomite and worm castings in there, so that will help to get them ready for gardening 2 years from now. But yeah, today I'm going to be prepping this. I'm going to be cracking the ground a little bit here and there, and this way it'll allow the worms that are down there to squiggle out. It'll allow the roots somewhere they can go that's more easily accessed. And it'll allow the heat from the decomposing leaves to be transferred down into the ground, which will keep the worms alive as well and have them happy and warm throughout the winter. Okay, so this is going to be one of my gardens here. So what I want to do is I want to break up the ground a little bit, but I don't want to destroy the enzymes that are all in there that started their own communities. So I'm just going to put pitchfork in the ground, pull it a little bit in order to break it up a little bit to aerate the ground, not lift it up and throw it all over the place and do all that stuff. That's going to destroy what you're trying to do in the first place. So that's about it. That's all I'm going to be doing here. Pitchfork, ground. Ground is somewhat wet, so it's going to be relatively easy. Throw it in like this. Lift it up a little bit. That's good. Same thing. A little bit. It's also going to wake up the worms that are hanging out down there. They're going to be like, whoa, buddy. But that'll bring them to the surface a little bit. That's it. Just break up the ground a little bit. Don't disturb it a lot. Just enough to get air in there so you can get everything functioning again, because it's been sitting dormant for a while. Okay, I just wanted to show you guys. Right here I got a little pile of leaves. Right over here I got a small pile of like old straw that's starting to decay. And right here, these are going to be my add-ins. Right here I have azomite. Azomite. A to Z of minerals, including trace elements. Azomite. Basically rock dust. Right here is my worm castings. I'm going to be taking some of them to throw in so that maybe some worms will come up and help to break down these leaves. Eat them up and leave back their good shit. And right there, I've been saving all of our coffee grounds. That seems like a lot of coffee grounds, but I guess I drink a lot of coffee. That's a big bag of coffee grounds. That's basically all it is. And that's going to be my mixture for this. I already broke up this first section here. So, yeah, now I'm just going to start laying stuff down. First I'm going to throw down a really thin layer of the straw because it's pretty wet right now. So that'll help it. It'll be an insulator. It'll also, since it's been sitting out for a while, it's starting to get its own fungus growing out of it. Fungi, whatever. That'll help to also break down the stuff. Mushrooms, nice. And then I'm going to be throwing some leaves down. But first thing I'm going to do is sprinkle a little bit of azomite, sprinkle a little bit of worm castings down there, and then I'm going to start layering stuff on top of that. That's about it. Let's get started. Alright, I put the azomite inside one of these Parmesan sprinklers, and yeah, I got this from the Dollar Tree for $1. So that's all I'm going to do over here to start out with. Let's throw in some azomite, so we'll have rock dust sitting there ready to go. You don't need a lot. And this is going to basically disappear as it rains. But that's the reason why we crack the ground first, so it'll sink in a little bit and it'll help it out like that. Next thing, and it's a good thing it's a little warm outside today, a little warmer than I thought it was going to be. It helps with the worm casting, this way the worms don't die because it's freezing cold. Nice black worm casting. Let's get my worm castings here. Sprinkle that on a little bit. People say, oh, you're supposed to add this much or that much. You know what? It's going to be 2 years before I use any of this. So it really doesn't matter, as long as there's some worms in the ground. And here, there's already worms in the ground, so no big deal. Just use one of these cups, sprinkled on the majority of it. Should be fantastic. More than enough. Alright, after that, a little bit of this breaking down straw here. Just a little bit, not a lot. But that'll help with moisture. It'll help insulating this. And this stuff will break down probably within the month. Once it's underneath all this other stuff. Boom. That part's done. Throw some leaves on. Don't gotta be pretty. Just gotta be in there. Now we got a nice little layer here. Make sure it's spread out a little bit in there. This is actually going to be our bottom layer. It's breaking down here. Alright. Got some of that stuff going. Now what I'm going to do again, this will also help to separate some of this stuff. A little bit more azomite. Sprinkling it outside the area I wanted it. Boom. Just like that. And you keep layering and layering and layering until you get at least a foot above where you want it to be, because this stuff's going to break down to nothing. And like I said, this is going to be sitting here for 2 years, so there's other stuff I'm going to be doing on top of this, gardening as well. But that's it. That's all you do. Pretty simple, right? Oh, almost forgot to throw my my coffee grounds on there. What coffee grounds are good for is they break down extremely quick. They're practically soil already. Once you use them in your coffee pot, they're practically soil, and the worms love them. That, banana peels, any type of waste that you have that's like non-cooked vegetables, no oils, no nothing like that, throw it right in there. If you had a salad that went bad, throw your salad in there. It's good for them. They love it. Used coffee grounds. Now I gotta get more stuff. Okay, there's the next layer. So, more azomite. There's a stick under the leaves. It looks pretty good. It'll break down to some nice soil, fall down on top of itself. Two more batches of leaves and that one's done. And I'll throw some straw on top of it. Alright, there you have it. One garden's all set up. Now I just let it sit there. That's pretty much it. The only other thing I'm going to do with this, since the soil's not going to be ready for probably about a year from this time, The only thing that I can do is potatoes. And the potatoes I'm going to put right on top of the straw, and then I'm going to cover that with some more straw, and those will be able to go by themselves without having to worry about digging into the leaves or disturbing them. It'll let them sit for the full year, and I'll still get a crop of something while I'm waiting for that to be ready to actually plant other crops. Potatoes are easy. You can do potatoes pretty much in anything, or on anything at that point. As long as they stay moist and the potato itself is out of the sun, you'll grow potatoes. Like, they will just come up. There's not much of a choice about it. So they're an easy starting type of crop. If you got a little bit of dirt, or if you got no dirt, and you just got a bale of straw, you push a potato in there, it'll grow potatoes right out of the straw. You just open it up at the end of the season, when all the stems of the potato and the leaves turn yellow, then you take it out. That's simple. Potatoes are easy. You can plant them right on top of that the first year. Don't got to worry about all the stuff breaking down underneath. And you'll have a crop of something. Now, excuse me. Now what I did here, I've got about 20 more gardens, or between 15 and 20 more gardens I got to put in like this all around this area. You can see where I've started stacking the logs. I'll show you that over here, if I don't fall on my face. Yep. You can see where I stacked all the logs. In between those logs I cleared it out. And you can see that this is going to be one garden, then a space, another garden, space, another garden, so on and so forth. I'm going to do that all the way around in a circle, and then I'm going to have the center gardens between that side and this side, so there will be 3 rows of gardens with the walkways in between, of course, so I can bring a wheelbarrow through. And yeah, it'll be pretty nice when it's all said and done. Granted, it's always a lot of work, but it's mostly about prepping. Once I got all this land prepped and ready to go, this much land, which is roughly 100 feet by 40 feet, or roughly 100 feet by 50 feet, is where all these gardens are going to be. And then after that, it's just making it look pretty. That should be enough space, though, in order to support myself and my woman all year long. Anything I do from that point on is where I'm going to be making money. But it takes time for this stuff to be prepped. And doing what I just did right here is literally building a garden from scratch. Not bringing in soil, not paying for this or paying for that. The only thing I paid for here was the azomite and the worm castings, and of course the coffee, which we drank, and it would have just gone in the garbage anyways. I used probably about 1/4 of a bale of straw, maybe half of a bale max, and that cost me like $2 for a bale. Like, granted, one of the smaller bales, but still a bale nonetheless. So all in all, this one garden, instead of costing me all the money that I went and spent for the bags before, the bags ended up costing me, let's see, say roughly it was about 10 bags per garden this size. 10 times, it was $8 a piece for the bag, so that cost me $80 for the garden. Each one of the gardens about this size, so $80 versus maybe $5 or $6. Saving money. Granted, you're either going to do the work or you're going to pay the money. This is doing the work from scratch, and it's going to take a lot of time. But this will be the most nutrient-rich thing you could possibly get, even better than what you would have received from the store's bags for raised bed gardens, because this is pure materials breaking down. And the worm castings puts the worms there. Granted, there's already worms here, so no big deal. If nothing comes out of it, it's still soil that's going to help to break down the other stuff as well. That's it. This is building a garden from scratch. And then we eat later in 2 years. But like I was showing you before, it's doing a farm, you know, a small version of a farm like I'm doing right now. I'm spreading out the possibilities of what I have to do. I'm doing my mushrooms. I've got 4 separate types of mushrooms out there right now. I've got the lion's head. I've got chicken of the woods. I have oyster mushrooms. And what is the other ones? Oysters. Oh, and matakis. Shiitakes. I got shiitakes, not matakis. But I spread those all over the property so that it's not just about, okay, I'm going to have a few mushrooms coming out of this log. When mushrooms come out, those mushrooms are going to be dropping spores, which is going to fruit the entire area, because I moved all over the place and put a whole bunch of different types of things in different areas, so that when I come back in a couple of years, I'll have not just the ones that I did on the logs I did, but the spores will have spread through the area, and I'll start finding them here and there on different types of trees around the lot. You know, hopefully later on I'll come through and be able to actually start making money at this. But I got a lot more work to do. Sorry I haven't been able to put videos up, guys. I've still been working, but it's been raining constantly, or snowing, or it's frigid cold, and that's what I'm dealing with, because I'm in here in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania either doesn't stop raining, or it doesn't stop snowing, or it's freezing cold. But that's good as far as the rain goes, because that's going to break down my stuff nicely. And that's it. And like I said, probably within about 5 years here, I should have money flowing in. Granted, that's 5 years from now. But this is all stuff that's going to break down while I go out in a month or two, when I go out and get a job, working for this person or that person. This stuff is still breaking down over that time. So it doesn't matter what I do at that point, as long as I get it ready, I prep it, and let it sit. That's it. That's all I got to do. Simple, right? But not easy. I don't know if you can see this too good. Once again, we've got the amber jelly rolled mushrooms coming off of these twigs. And basically that shows you how much it's been raining here on a constant basis. So I'm just going to go through and check all these sticks and see what I can get, because that's one of the few mushrooms I have here. Naturally. Yeah, naturally. So, we'll see how much I can get. Alright, I just wanted to show this. This is one little stick here. But this is a lot of amber jelly roll for one little spot there. So there's over here. I just want to show that because that's amazing, or at least to me. I wanted to show you guys these here. They are really neat looking. Some more mushrooms on my property. And I got these things here that look kind of along the lines of a turkey tail, but like crazy purplish red. stick of those little orange ones. Right there's a neat little mushroom set up here. Don't know what it is. Not gonna eat it. Well, I'm not sure what this used to be, but I'm looking at this. That almost looks like it was coming down like lion's mane a little bit. So I'm gonna keep this in mind when spring comes, and yeah, if it turns out to be lion's mane, I'm gonna be happy as shit. Damn. I just wanted to show this because this is like purplish pink. It looks kind of like jellies. Little clusters everywhere. I'm also finding a bunch of the like yellow jellies existing on some of these plants. And here's one, but it's a tiny one. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that's about all I was able to get done today. Just 2 of them. So, yeah, it's time consuming, but at least I was able to walk around and get some mushrooms, and that took about an hour. But then I have to continue all the way around this thing. This area I'm standing in right now is the center bed area. Those are my other beds I gotta do later on. I've already got them stripped out right now. I just wanted to show you guys before I ran out of here. This is how many of the mushrooms I got. They're still all the amber jelly rolls. That's all I was really looking for. But I don't know, I'd say that's probably 4 inches by like 1.5 inches thick, 4 inches tall. You know, not bad. Okay, that's it. That's all I'm going to do for the day. I got those 2 set up, and I've got to get some more logs together. I've got to rake more leaves, because I did probably 80 or 90% of that pile on these 2. And that means every 2 I'm going to have to do that same amount of leaves. Whew. That's about it. I'm just going to keep on working. And sorry if I can't get you guys videos, because like rain, snow, freezing, frigid cold is what we're dealing with up here up north. So I'll do the best I can. You guys have a good night.